Yes, welcome into Boston has entered the chat. I'm George Balekji. He's Adam Pellerin. Welcome into the latest drop of this beautiful program. Wherever you catch your podcast, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Nesson.com. Listen in on Spotify as well. Also, make sure to email us, thechat@Nesson.com, to have your voices heard. And call in, leave a voicemail, 617-790-0928. Adam, how are we doing today, my friend?
I couldn't be better, George. I'm just so happy to be with you. I'm so happy to be talking about Boston sports. I'm happy to be talking about the Celtics in the NBA Finals.
Finally.
It's going to be a great week, buddy.
Adam, if you were named the NBA leader of it all, the commissioner, the next Adam Silver to an Adam Pellerin, would you build in a day where if both conference finals finish in 5 or less games, boom, the finals start like 3 days later? Give some rest, but I can't take this long without NBA basketball.
Yeah, I know. It took forever. But I actually got caught on when you said leader of the NBA, because I think I would change my title from commissioner to emperor. That would be my first order of business. But yes, I would get rid of this long layoff. It's ridiculous.
I love the mental block I had. NBA commissioner just fleeted my mind. So leader of the NBA. But like NBA emperor. I like that. Adam Pellerin, yeah. NBA emperor. That leads the LinkedIn update. All right, let's get to what's trending today. Nothing more than the 49ers and Christian McCaffrey agreeing to a new 2-year, $38 million extension. Highest paid running back in the NFL. What was your reaction to this one for a position that doesn't really get paid anymore? But a guy like McCaffrey, to me, he's more than a running back.
Yeah, I thought it was well-deserved. I'm glad he got paid for what he has meant to that Niners offense, how he has changed the dynamic of the offense, even with the weapons that they do have. I was looking at the percentage of offensive snaps that he's been on the field. I mean, 80% of the offensive snaps he's been on the field, 100% in one of those games last year, which is just incredible. And I know you're a running back, you're going to wear down. The shelf life is usually short with these guys. He's going to turn 28 on Friday, but you're paying him for what he'll do in the next couple of years, not the back end of the contract.
Yeah, that's a guy that is more than a running back, is a weapon. You said 100% of the snaps speaks for itself. He's so dynamic. And what Kyle Shanahan does with his offense is all about exploiting mismatches for whatever defense is opposite of them. You keep this guy in there, continue to surround Brock Purdy with all the right tools. As long as his offense is great and healthy, this will pay off because he should bring a ring to San Francisco. Man, they get so close every year, just something seems to go wrong. Also, in Boston, Wilyer Abreu, the Sox' great young outfielder, sucks. Placed on the 10-day IL with a sprained ankle, and he's sprained to Adam walking on the steps of the dugout. And that's just such crappy luck because you have metal spikes on concrete. If it's wet, it's slippery. It happens. It happened in their game against Detroit.
Yeah, man, I was doing pre and post for those games, and we were looking at Wilyer Abreu in the dugout. We're like, oh, man, something's wrong with him. And it's like, oh, he tweaked his ankle. It's like, oh, where did he tweak his ankle? And all of a sudden, you look at the replay of him slipping down the stairs. It's unbelievable. This team is snake-bitten by injuries this year, obviously dealing with the injuries at the beginning of the year before the year even started with Lucas Giolito in the starting rotation. You lose Trevor Story for the year. You're dealing with injuries with Tristan Casas, who's going to be out until later this month at the earliest. Tyler O'Neill, Masataka Yoshida, all of these guys injured. And now Wilyer Abreu, one of the young, bright stars for this Red Sox team, who's leading major league rookies in virtually every single offensive category, is on the injured list. It just stinks. You said it. It just stinks.
Yeah, I just think of the dumb luck that is. Like everyone every day going up and down the steps, up and down the steps, up and down the steps, metal spikes on concrete. And that's just dumb luck. And you said how great he was doing. Even think about guys we haven't even really been able to like test out, see, and evaluate. Like Vaughn Grissom started the season dealing with a groin. Now it's with a hamstring. Snake bitten is a perfect way to put it for the Red Sox. And finally, Kennedy Carter of the Chicago Sky says she has no regrets about fouling Caitlin Clark hard, which I agree with, because if she doesn't do that, she's not a household name now. What do you say to Kennedy Carter saying, I have no regrets?
Yeah, I mean, what is she going to say, right? I mean, I guess she could apologize, but that doesn't seem to be the theme in the WNBA when it comes to Caitlin Clark these days. You know, the thing that really bothered me about that play, obviously, it was a cheap shot. It's not the most egregious hit or foul I've ever seen on a player before. But with that said, what really bothered me is that none of the teammates of Clark coming to her defense, and that's something that was just like, really? Like, you're not going to stand up for your teammate? Like, that's something that should be like, team 101 is your player goes down, you come to their defense, you get in the face of the other player. That didn't happen.
Yeah, I agree with you that. Like, I was watching it, and it wasn't that hard of a foul. And I agree, like, Kennedy Clark, don't apologize. I don't care. Like, this is a league that's been around for a long time, always been tough, always been competitive, always been physical. Just play between the whistles. And obviously, you're doing that at Caitlin Clark because she's Caitlin Clark. I understand these vets in the league that have done so much to build it up and get it to this point, and this rookie that's 11 games into her career is getting more spotlight, getting more fanfare than anyone. I understand the animosity. You hear about it all the time. Just keep the fouls between the whistles. But to your point, Adam, like, that's what I saw. Her teammate just walk into Caitlin to help her out. No! You get in Kennedy Clark's face. You go chest to chest with her. You tell her, back the F up. You do that again. I'm going to throw these hands. And whether you're really about it or not, who cares? Just do it. Stand up for your teammates. It's the same stuff you would do standing up for your teammates in high school, in college, standing up for your friends if someone came up to them and did something dirty to them now. I want to see more from the Fever. They don't need to, maybe they need to go out and get an enforcer. We don't need it to be like hockey where you're dropping gloves and fighting and policing yourself. But stand up for your teammates, especially who is the most important player to your team, because when she's not getting fouled, when she's not being kept in check like she was a game after this guy, she's still top 20 in points per game, averaging in the WNBA. But I agree with you all the way. Yeah. If I'm her, I'm looking at my teammates and go, hey, have my back a little bit. Like, I'm going to keep getting this. And for Caitlin, like, maybe stand up herself too and get back in Kennedy Clark's face.
Yeah, well, look, you said most important player on the team, most important player in the league right now, whether you like it or not, it's Caitlin Clark. No question.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to the big basketball topic here in Boston. The countdown continues. We are a
the countdown continues.
That's how long it's been.
It's been a long countdown. It's going to drop someday.
Adam the Emperor takes over for the NBA. We won't have these long waits for the NBA Finals. Few days away for the game tipping. Game 1 at TD Garden in Boston between Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, and the Mavericks against Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, most importantly, Kristaps Porzingis, who will make his return Game 1. Porzingis spoke with the media, and when asked on playing in Game 1, he said that is the plan right now. Check this out.
That is the plan. So right now, but yeah, again, it's a couple more days, and I think that can make a difference. So every day gives me a bit more time to get even better, so.
Adam, I'm a little worried hearing a couple more days and that makes the difference because it's been 35 days since he last played. Between the playoff game he got injured against the Heat and Game 1 of the Finals, it'll be 37 days. But I'll be optimistic. Getting Kristaps Porzingis back is so important for the Celtics. He's an X factor in all of this. What he does defensively to protect that lob threat and prevent it from Luka, Gafford, and Lively. And, of course, offensively, his shooting ability on the outside opens up the paint for the Jays to attack and all the pick-and-roll offense they can roll. But what do you think about Kristaps saying a couple more days will make a difference, but that is a plan right now. I'll be back Game 1.
Yeah, I wonder if he meant that. Right? Like, that's the thing. Sometimes you hear these players or coaches say things and it comes out wrong. I hope that's the case here because you're right, George. Hearing him say, yeah, a couple more days, I'll be good. It's like, whoa. I thought you were good. I thought we were just kind of ramping up and getting more floor time at practice and getting ready for Game 1. And then to hear him say that bothers me a little bit. The injury itself also bothers me because it's like, you got to be careful. You can't come back too early from an injury like that. Now we're in the NBA Finals. No, if you're not coming back now, you're not coming back. And you got to give it a go. But with that said, I'm not really confident in him being fully healthy until I see him play a full game, right? Like going into it, I'm thinking, all right, cautiously optimistic. I'm not banking on having Kristaps Porzingis in for the entire series. I hope that's the case. And you're right, the Celtics do need him because he does so much and he creates so many different mismatches and does open things up for the Jays. But I'm not 100% confident. And I think it's pretty obvious that most people aren't 100% confident. But then to hear him say that kind of worries me a little bit.
That's exactly my thought process too. This is a guy 7'3". You demand a lot out of him on both ends of the floor. has to move exceptionally. This was a non-contact injury where he suffered this calf strain. And if you re-aggravate it, I mean, there's going to be no coming back at this point. He says a couple more days will make the difference. Cool. All right. That scares me because also there are the reports he'd be good to go game 4 against the Pacers or game 5 if needed, right? If you need a couple more days, then what's the progress like? I remember Kristaps even saying out, there was quotes, I'm recovering at a historic rate. I'm doing all I can for my rehab. And credit to him, like, you want to hear they're putting the effort, but I was the same way. I was skeptic of, I'm going to recover at a historic rate when he's always been injured. Regular season alone, he's missed 73 games the last 3 seasons. And then he's missed 10 games this postseason recovering from this calf. If you need a couple more days, then that means game 1, you're back. But what are you at? 70%, 80%? And my worry is also, Adam, he's going to come back game 1, game 2. He's going to be knocking off some rust. This isn't going to be the 20-7, 38% from 3 KP they got in the regular season. It's going to take a while for him to get back. And by the way, you're going to be going against a team that's red hot right now, really physical in the Dallas Mavericks. That's what worries me too is I need a few more days to get ready. All right, cool. You need a few more days to recover. That's scary. But also, when you hit the ground running, what percentage, what Kristaps Porzingis are you going to look like? And maybe him just being a shell of himself because of how talented this team is all they need. But I don't know. That's what scares me too. The rust it'll take for him to knock off.
I agree. That's the other factor of it too. And I also wonder, it's just like, all right, well, the Celtics have steamrolled through the NBA playoffs so far, 12-2. You know, they're 9-1 without him. They were good without him during the regular season as well. So I guess that shouldn't come as a huge surprise. And again, I know people have stood up and said, yeah, you know what? It doesn't matter who they played in the All right, the reality is,
it does.
You know, it does a little bit, right? I mean, come on, let's be honest. Not having Jimmy Butler to deal with, who has terrorized you in the playoffs in the past. I mean, come on, that's huge. Not to have to face him. Not having to face Donovan Mitchell for the rest of that Cavs series. Tyrese Halliburton as well. Like, come on, like that's a factor. Now you're facing a Mavericks team that is locked and fully loaded and has the 2 best players by far that you have faced in the postseason to this point. So you need all hands on deck. So that's why I look at, you look at the record and the success that the Celtics had without him in the regular season and what they've had in the postseason. But you're facing a different animal right now. I still like the Celtics. I do. But you're facing a much different animal and 2 of the, by far, the 2 best players you've seen in the postseason.
Yeah, Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, breaking news, are not Andrew Nembhard and TJ McConnell. They're just not. They're much better. And the Mavericks, to me, come in with the best player in the series, but then we see the Celtics with 5 of the top 7 players in this matchup. There is the headline around, and we'll get into talking a little Kyrie coming back to the Garden, but Porzingis and Luka, their rematch, because Kristaps Porzingis spent a couple seasons in Dallas, came in, thought he was a number 1, it didn't work out, was traded over to the Wizards. Well, he talked about his relationship on playing with Luka and what the reunion will be. Check it out from KP.
Obviously, you know, it didn't work out. I think it was, once the trade happened. I don't know. I don't want to go. I'm not even thinking about that right now. You know what I mean? I'm focused on the job ahead, and we can talk about that later, brother.
Now, I'm big on, I don't think it's a big deal either. Kristaps Porzingis is a few years removed from that, him playing in Dallas, playing with Luka. He's a guy that came in, and I saw him from the jump when he was drafted by the Knicks. The pressure thrown on his shoulders, the unicorn, the saving grace, that's a lot to do playing in the Garden. Tears his ACL, bounces around the league. And you see, and I picked it up from covering Media Day for the Celtics this season, and it was right after they traded for Drew, right after they got Kristaps Porzingis, him talking very humble, very down to earth. He just strikes at a guy that he knows he won the lottery with his skill set, playing in the NBA, the money he's making. He loves ball. So I don't think this whole Dallas thing eats away at him as much as people think, or him and Luka butting heads as well. But what do you think hearing that from him, where he's like, you know, I'm focused on the job ahead. We could talk about that later. Me matching up with Luka in the finals.
Yeah, I mean, why get into that? If you're Kristaps Porzingis, why get into that right now? Obviously, it's a storyline for the media. We're going to be talking about it. Kyrie coming back to Boston, that's obviously the biggest storyline, but you know, it's not the only one. And so he's going to be asked that question. He spent a few years there. There was some disappointment. There were some disappointed fans. He's going to face that when he goes to Dallas, and he should, because you know what? We would do the same thing as Celtics fans when we're gonna obviously, Celtics fans are gonna do that with Kyrie, but any player that had expectations attached to them, when they don't live up to those expectations, they go elsewhere, and you're facing that player for the first time with the championship on the line. Yeah, you're gonna hear it from the crowd. So I'm not surprised with that. But in terms of, if I'm Kristaps Porzingis, I'm answering it that way because I don't want to get into that. I don't want to give the media anything that they could take and run with and make it a distraction or potentially bulletin board material for the Dallas Mavericks. And, oh, yeah, we just talked about it. I'm trying to come back. I'm trying to play. I'm dealing with this cap thing. I just said I hope it'll be good in a couple of days or something along those lines. So he obviously he acknowledged it. He tried to move past it. It's going to come up again, I'm sure, especially when the series shifts to Dallas, but I think he handled it the right way.
Yeah, right. I agree with that one, too. And you think of Porzingis, that's the best part you brought up, Adam, and all that. I'm focused on my calf. I'm focused on the finals. This is the furthest Kristaps Porzingis has ever been in the playoffs. Never made it out of the first round when he was out in the West. Now he's getting dropped back in. Welcome to the finals, where it's a different emotional, physical, mental toll. Completely different like anything else. He's smart to keep the focus on him. Now, here's Luka Doncic on his relationship with Kristaps Porzingis.
You see, that's why I don't watch a lot of that, because people don't know. I talked to Chandler Parsons maybe twice in my life, so I don't know how he would do that. But me and KB have a good relationship. I don't know what people would say otherwise.
So that's also in reaction to Chandler Parsons basically saying they butt heads. There's a lot of beef there. It's still going on. Luka, again, if you couldn't hear it, I've talked to Chandler Parsons maybe twice in my life. I don't know how he would know that. And then he goes, KP and I have a good relationship. I just love that FU from Luka and all this. Like, Chandler Parsons, shut up. You were okay throughout the NBA. Good for you having a long career. But, there's nothing there. Don't try and make something of it. And that's Chandler Parsons just trying to make some buzz on himself because he's irrelevant now, but he's trying to capitalize on these two, I guess, being in the NBA Finals.
Yeah, or there could be a little truth to it. And that's fine. And that would make sense, though, right, George? Because it's like, these two guys and the pressure, that, again, we talked about attached to Porzingis and to Doncic with the expectations and the fact that, Porzingis wasn't available a lot in Dallas. I think he played 100 games in a couple of seasons with the Mavericks. They bowed out in the first round. He wasn't available for the entire first round series or part of the first round series against the Clippers, I believe it was. And then, he wasn't great in the playoffs, the second playoff series where they got bounced in the first round. So I'm sure that they were butting heads. Because that happens. How much do we talk about Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown butting heads? That's a real thing. That happens. It doesn't mean they can't coexist. It doesn't mean they can't be successful. But over the course of a long season, no matter what sport you play, you are going to butt heads with a teammate, especially if you're the man and you got the 1A and 1B, and you guys are going to – that's going to happen. And so – while I believe what Chandler Parsons is saying, I also believe the fact that it's not a big deal now. They don't hold the grudge. They're not holding on to this. Finally, I get a chance at redemption against my lifelong enemy. It's nothing like that. It's just the fact that these two guys played together. They played together for a few seasons, and they butted heads from time to time, and that's that.
And they were both the man with their team. Kristaps was the man with the Knicks, came off a torn ACL, played for Dallas, and Luka was the man by the time Kristaps even got there. And I thought I was the number one. I thought you were the number one. And you're right. He played 57 games his first season with the Mavericks. He played just 51 games the following season. That's including his time split with the Wizards. It was quick. He was in and out of there. And they didn't fit together, but I think they can move past it. It's right, though, on Luka of saying, I don't know who Chandler Parsons is. And maybe he's saying that just to basically in a polite way, telling him to shut up. Maybe there is something there, minuscule butting of the heads, but it's nothing big enough where Chandler Parsons comes out and says, there's beef. It's real. It's all happening there. So I agree with it on that. I think that's a great point you make, too. With any time you have two alphas on a team, it was Luka and KP. It's Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. They're figuring out a way to coexist. And you really have three alphas on the Celtics. You have two on the Mavs and Luka and Kyrie, but Kyrie's figured out, I'm not the number one. Maybe he's realizing I never was. I never should have asked to be one. I'm not a leader. And he's fine with Luka having all the shine. I want to ask you, Kyrie's return to the Garden, especially being on the finals. This isn't Brooklyn. This isn't him coming back as a net. But looking back on that 18-19 season and that fallout and saying, I'll stay here if you have me, to looking back to February when he's talking to KD about 2 max slots, what is going to be going through your mind, Adam, when you see Kyrie Irving potentially, winning games in the Garden and having success in the finals?
Well, I mean, when I see him walk through the door, I'm going to get amped up because it's great to have a villain to root against, right? I mean, you need that in sports. You need that, especially in a championship round, right? I mean, look back, we'll go do a cross-sport reference, right? The Red Sox and Yankees, right? When the Red Sox and Yankees were at their peak and they were going up against each other, fans hated Derek Jeter. Fans hated Bernie Williams. Fans hated Roger Clemens, even though he was with the Red Sox. Obviously, went to the Yankees. Go back even further, right? Fans hated the Lakers and Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and James Worthy. And Kobe. Rest in peace. Played against the Celtics in the finals. Fans hated Kobe Bryant. It's great. This is a little different. This is a little different because this guy's coming back, was with you, said he was going to stay with you, and now he's with the Mavericks and was with the Nets before that. So it's not an apples to apples comparison, but in terms of having this sort of targeted hatred within the sports realm, now I'm talking about, not like hatred off the court or anything like that. Just like you booing the hell out of a player. I'm excited for that. That's going to be great theater. All Celtics fans are excited for it. And so, yeah, you don't want to see that guy win on your home court. You don't want to see the guy who stomped on Lucky the Leprechaun at center court win on your home court. So I'm just looking forward to seeing that. That's gonna be something fun. It's gonna be fun. This is gonna be a fun NBA final. Because honestly, George, I'll be honest with you, the last 3 rounds were kind of blah.
Yeah, they were.
They were, and this is like, all right, finally something I can sink my teeth into. This is going to be great.
There's the stories that and the narratives that are going to be throughout this finals, aside from the actual matchups. This one's real. The hate that Boston has for Kyrie, and it's not because Kyrie left. It's how he left. It's what he did when he was here. You said it. Before the season, October 28th, he's saying, I want my jersey up in the rafters. I'll stay if y'all will have me. People gave him a standing ovation. You go to February, he's talking to Kevin Durant. You go to the playoffs, he's basically trying to throw a series against the Bucks. Doesn't even show up for his team in Game 7. Does all that. The hate is real. Boo Kyrie Irving. You should hate him. It's justified. Treat him like a human being. There's a line, but the animosity that will be in TD Garden when Kyrie's name is announced every time he touches a ball, I agree with you, Adam. It's going to be great theater. It's going to add to the entertainment factor and just watching what the Celtics do every time he touches a ball. And, of course, you have the matchup of Jaylen Brown and Kyrie Irving, who are friends, who are allies, and how do they play? How do they compete against one another? And how much do they want to get after it and win this? Before we move on, Adam, I don't know if you've given on this program. I apologize. I was away for a day. But have you given your finals prediction? Because you said you like the Celtics, but there has to be the Celtics in what?
Oh, wow. You put me on the spot for a prediction, George, huh?
Yeah.
All right. I got you. I'll go Celtics in 6. I'll go Celtics in 6 because while I fully respect the talent and ability of Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, I don't think the Mavs supporting cast is as good as the Celtics supporting cast. Even if the Jays aren't on their game, you have Kristaps Porzingis potentially. Mm-hmm. But even it's crazy to say this, even without him, I think there's enough there.
Yeah.
I think there's enough there because we've seen at times Al Horford can contribute, but the biggest thing is Drew Holiday and Derek White and what they bring to the table in the postseason. And in Holiday, you have a proven championship point guard. You have a guy who can play lockdown defense. Derek White the same way. We've seen how clutch White can be for the Celtics. He has been in this postseason. He has been since he got to Boston in the postseason. I think that there's enough there to beat this Mavericks team. I hope Porzingis is a part of that because it'll make life a lot easier for the Celtics if he's even 90% of what he is regularly. But yeah, Celtics in 6.
All right. I love it. I love the prediction. I agree. That's why I look at this matchup with these teams, how deep the Celtics are, the one thing I give the Mavericks is their best is clearly the best in this series. And when you look at guys like Luka and Kyrie, the dog in them, it's so overused at this point, but they are dogs. They're mother effing dogs. They're the doggiest dogs of them all, right? They'll do more than anything. I like them late in games more than I like of who the Celtics have. And I'll give you my prediction, Adam. I've thought this one out. I've said it on Hold My Banner. It feels dirty. Mavericks in 6. I do say it. I think it's Mavericks in 6.
So you
a little
think those
head-to-head.
two guys are enough to beat the Celtics in a full series?
It's my skepticism of Porzingis' status. It's how physical the Mavericks will be, how they'll bang down low at KP, tire him out, work his legs, take him out. And we've seen what P.J. Washington has elevated his game to. Derek Lively, healthy. Neck sprain, no problem. He was back, played 25 minutes in Game 5. Maxi Kleber even returning from his AC joint sprain in his shoulder. I don't feel right doing it. I would say Mavs in 7, but it just feels wrong to say Mavs in 7 because that means they win in Boston in Game 7. So in a weird way, I'm saying Mavs in 6, which still feels dirty either way. It's just Luka, man. It's Luka. He scares the hell out of me, and I think that guy late in a game, I trust him, and he won't do what the Pacers did, who had the lead 5 minutes, 2 minutes left every game in that series, and somehow let it go and couldn't hold on for dear life. Late game execution, I think the Mavericks pull it through, but we'll see. I wouldn't be mad if I'm wrong. Can I put it that way? Like I don't want to be wrong.
I know that. I understand that, and I do respect that view. And again, you may be right, but the thing that I wonder about the Mavericks is, you got Kyrie, who's got the championship experience. Nobody else does.
Yeah.
Nobody else on that roster has the experience that Kyrie has, or that the Jays have, or that Drew Holiday has, or Derek White, or Al Horford, guys who have been on this stage before. And I think when you get to this point in the postseason, when you get to the final round, when it's for all the marbles, man, you start getting a little bit tight certain moments, and some of those guys that you mentioned, the supporting cast, I sort of wonder, this is going to be a huge test for them on the biggest stage. So that's why I sort of lean toward the Celtics. You're right. They got the two best players in the series, but I think that the experience and the depth of the Celtics, with or without Porzingis, will be enough.
Yeah. Like I said, too, Celtics have 5 of the 7 best players in this finals matchup. Mavericks have the best player, but the Celtics have the rest. And Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. If they execute, they're elite. I won't hate on it. Hey, there was a bunch of fans reacting to the news of Kristaps Porzingis most likely being back for Game 1. Let's check them out here, pull them up. First, The Athletic tweeting about the news, and this is from Celtics Unite. Kristaps Porzingis expect to return Game 1 of the finals. His reaction, that's Thanos getting the Infinity Stones, the final piece. Kristaps Porzingis, and that gives them all the power in the world. I mean, this is the Celtics. If they're full strength, they are unstoppable.
Yeah, I'm just looking at that. That's pretty good.
Editing on that, credit to them.
Yeah, it's not bad. I like the Thanos thing.
He is the final stone. It's all about who's.
That's George in the gym right there. Yeah.
That's when.
Yeah.
That's exactly when the pre-workout kicks in. That's my reaction. All right, next one. There's some anger, and that's Mavericks fans. It's from Database Sports Picks. I thought I said Dateable Sports Fan at first. Database Sports Picks. Mavericks fan, a lady looking up to this guy screaming, "No! We were the healthier team! No!" That's what the news of the 7'3" lobby.
I'll be honest with you.
This
I
lady,
don't get this one.
I don't know what this is from. It's just I've seen it used so much.
I know. I've seen this. I've seen that before. But why are Mavericks fans reacting like this? Because Kristaps
Porzingis. Yeah, exactly. Kristaps is good to go for Game 1. But and this is when we were in Boston, we knew he was going to be back for the finals. It was the expectation he was going to be back. I guess it's a reality for Mavericks fans,
Yeah, but I don't know, man. Are Mavericks fans stressing over this? You think?
I would think so. So. But also, there could be they are just, I don't want to say delusional, but they are so confident of how they're playing that it's like KP doesn't make a difference, but at the same time he does. But I agree with you on this one.
I do, because think about who they've beaten so far too. I mean, their path is much harder than Celtics, right?
3 50-win teams they beat. 3 50-win teams and the 1 seed in the West. I agree.
Right.
And how about this one? Now this is much more relatable.
Yeah, there you go.
Bree Marie D, when I hear KP is officially back. Oh, my sweet Baxter.
Yeah.
Whatever he says, some Ron Burgundy saying here. That is I like the unicorn touch on Porzingis, but that is a return. When Baxter got back from being booted off the bridge to Ron's arms, the excitement he had.
Yeah, no, that's true. I get the sentiment. The photoshopping, though, I don't know. I don't know. With all due respect, but I will say, like, I can't do any of this stuff. I wouldn't be able to, like, do this, I don't think.
It would take me way too long. It'd be a waste of time. So we let the people on Twitter do it. If you want to tweet at the chat.
Why don't we take it away, by the way? Take it away. It was great. I like that.
Because they want to see the well-lit Emperor Adam of the NBA. That's why. That's why we take the tweet away. If you want to tweet at us, tweet at Nesson, at George Balekji, at Adam Pellerin. Use the hashtag the chat as well. We'll bring your tweets into the show. Make sure to email us as well, the chat at Nesson.com, or calling on the hotline 617-790-0928. All right, Adam, let's talk some Stanley Cup Finals. You know what's funny? I'll say this. I was watching Game 6 between the Rangers and Panthers with my buddies over the weekend. Many of them Rangers fans. And the same exact thing we were experiencing here in Boston, watching the Bruins fall to the Panthers, is what Rangers fans went through. And I'm talking late in the third period, them going, I don't understand. Why can't we do anything? Why can't we score a goal? I hate that they dump and chase. What is this forecheck BS? And I'm just looking at them and go, this is what they do, man. They beat the hell out of you. They yuck it up. And now a clash of styles we have in the Stanley Cup Final. Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Zach Hyman, and all that speed on the ice, all that scoring, but Stuart Skinner on the back end against a physicality and the muck it up, make it dirty, just make it ugly, but find a way to win in the Panthers. Who do you like when you look at this matchup between the finals and the Stanley Cup?
Yeah, I know, right? It's kind of hard to pick against the Panthers, right? And I kind of felt this way last year too, right? Because the Panthers obviously beating the Bruins, marching all the way to the Stanley Cup Final. And you're looking at it and saying, man, at this point, like, this is a team that seems destined for a cup because of the way they scratched and clawed to get that final wild card spot last year, knocking off the historic Boston Bruins in the first round. And then they obviously lose. But, this year, it's tough. I like the Oilers. I like the Oilers, and I think I'm foolish because it's like, all right, go ahead, try again, because I like the Rangers in the Eastern Conference Finals, and then what happened, right? The same exact blueprint for success that the Panthers had against the Bruins, they executed against the Rangers. The Rangers couldn't generate the shots on goal, and now I'm looking at this high-powered Edmonton Oilers team with McDavid, with Draisaitl, with Nugent Hopkins, with Bouchard, and all those guys. And I'm thinking to myself, man, they might do the same thing. But with that said, none of the players that you haven't had to face Connor McDavid, right? Like that's the one thing I'm thinking of. It's like, all right, you face some great players, and all due respect to David Pastrnak, of course, but Connor McDavid is the best player in the world.
Oh,
and seeing that goal against the Stars, where he's through traffic and all of a sudden it
doesn't matter.
That's not real. Like,
it doesn't matter what's in front of him.
Real, exactly. So I like the Oilers in the story too, right? I mean, this is a team where the goaltending was a huge problem at the beginning of the year. They started the season like 2-12. They got the goaltending right. They got their act together. They were able to, do what they did. And then in the postseason, you're seeing, again, the Oilers back in the Cup Final. Canada with a chance to win their first Stanley Cup since 1993 in the Montreal Canadiens. And so, while I'm still, I'm then make no mistake, as a lifelong Bruins fan who grew up here and hated the Oilers, I'm not loving it. But with that said, I got to be, realistic, and I do think I'm going with the Oilers. I'm going with the Oilers in 7.
It's Oilers in 7. I love that. Get a game 7 in this one. It comes down to Connor McDavid. It's the best part, too. Again, I was watching with my friends, and one of my buddy goes, who's the best player in the NHL? He's the one that didn't know about hockey. And I go, oh, it's Connor McDavid on Edmonton. Like, his nickname is McJesus. It's for a reason. He's the most dominant in the sport. The next day, I sent him that goal you're alluding to, and he just went, what the F? And I was like, yeah, exactly. That's how good he is. And like, that's not a flash in the pan. That's how good he is. It will be interesting to see the matchup. The Panthers came through hell when it came through the goalies they beat. Jeremy Swayman, who was the best player, of course.
Yeah.
And then taking down Igor Shesterkin. They just don't give chances. I'm just worried about Stuart Skinner. I like the Panthers in this one, but I don't hate that call with the Edmonton Oilers winning it all, especially on the back of who is the best player, clear cut, no doubt about it, and Connor McDavid. All right, Adam, I want to move on to the news in Major League Baseball. We saw it happen with Jonte Porter and the NBA. He was betting on unders for himself, prop bets. Got caught, lifetime ban. Tucupita Marcano of the San Diego Padres was given a lifetime ban for betting on baseball. He placed, and these are the details of the report, placed hundreds of bets on baseball, including wagers on games involving the Pittsburgh Pirates when he was with the team last season. The bets were made when he tore his ACL and was away from the team. But regardless, Marcano made hundreds of bets on the team that he was on. He appears to be the first active player banned under sports gambling provisions since New York Giants outfielder Jimmy O'Connell in 1924. This is also the first person to get a lifetime ban in Major League Baseball since Pete Rose, as he admitted to betting on games while Cincinnati Reds manager. What was your reaction when you saw this come out about Marcano? My instant reaction is, what an idiot. But for you on your side, what were you thinking when you see these reports come out? And we see gambling more intertwined in sports than just the ads we see on TV.
Yeah, I mean, I think this takes that to an extreme, right? Because we have been talking about sports betting and sponsorships of these sports books and teams and their relationships and how sort of interesting it is to see how this is playing out in all of the major sports. But with that said, to this level, I mean, this is just egregious, right? This is just like, this is brazen, what this individual is accused of doing. And so an appropriate punishment for an egregious crime, really. And some of the other, examples over the years. And you mentioned did you look at the details of the Jimmy O'Connell?
No, I never have.
By the way, all right, I did. So I wasn't as familiar. So everybody, I think, knows about the 1919 Chicago White Sox, the Black Sox,
Yes.
right? The movie 8 Men Out, right? These guys throwing the series, and those that story is well known. I didn't know this one as well. So Jimmy O'Connell played for the New York Giants, all right, and in 1924, he offered a bribe to the Phillies shortstop of $500 in the last series of the season, which is equivalent to like $9,000 today or something, to basically boot balls and throw the game. And that was like, I mean, can you imagine, right? Like a guy today going to like an opposing clubhouse and say, "Hey man, like, could you like not play well today so we can win?" I mean, that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So so you referenced that, so I figured I'd do a little homework on that. But yeah, you're right. There were some other suspensions as well. As that was attached to the story with former Red Sox pitcher Jay Groom, who was traded to the Padres as part of the Eric Hosmer deal.
Yeah, Michael Kelly of Oakland, Jay Groom.
Yeah.
Now with the Padres, right. Jose Rodriguez with the Phillies, Andrew Saalfrank with Arizona, all suspended 1 year. None of them bet on games they played in.
Right.
And they bet on games, Major League Baseball, but they didn't bet on games they played in. 1 year ban. You see that Jay Groom bet $453, lost $433. Michael Kelly wagered $99, won $28 in winnings. I just got to spotlight, like, you lost a year of play at the Major League, AAA level, minor league level, whatever, for $99 of wagers. Like, again, just like the stupidity that it takes to do that. That's what goes through my mind when I see all this.
Well, this is like, you kind of wonder, again, without knowing each individual situation and who they have around them, but like you'd figure you'd have some sort of, I don't know, like, hey, you know what, should I really be doing this? Like,
right?
Is this like, something and again, like Major League Baseball's betting policy, they are, like, if it's within your jurisdiction, you are allowed to play sports bets, just not on the diamond, right? Like
literally, yeah, like even college softball, yeah,
right. So like, it's not like you're like completely restricted. Like you can participate, but just don't do baseball. Like, how can you look at it and say, I should be good. I play for the Red Sox organization, but I don't play for the Red Sox. This is legit. Like how does that logic work? You know?
It's just idiots. That's what it boils down to. Because even think of Ipe Buzahara and what happened with him and Shohei Ohtani and all that. He never bet on a diamond sport, but again, he was an illegal bookmaker. Just use the sports books you have in hand, or don't bet on a diamond sport, right? Like I see this stuff with Marcano, and I'm thinking this guy's laying up torn ACL, and what he's doing, I'm guessing. He wagered 100 of bets, but he's like, I know this team. I'm watching on TV. I know them better. Whatever the bets are, I don't even know the details. But again, there should be that part where you go, this is the one thing I can't do in order to keep my job. And for someone like that to work their way up through the minor leagues, get to the major league level, finally be at that, it is so difficult to break through and become a Major League Baseball player. So difficult. And to place a few bets on your phone and just not use your brain, you literally piss it all away. If you're Marcano, just a special level of stupid. And the rest of those guys, it's the same thing. Because like you said, Adam, Major League Baseball is like, just don't bet on diamond sports. Don't use an illegal bookmaker. We don't care. Football, basketball, baseball, not baseball, hockey, bet what you want. We don't care. And these guys are so dumb that they still want to push it and they think they can get away with it, with especially how sensitive they are to the Mizuhara news and the integrity of the game. Like stuff is going to be heightened. Like they have their ways to figure out this stuff, betting with your name, using DraftKings, whatever it may be. If you're betting on baseball or softball, like Major League Baseball will find out, and now these guys have all been made an example of.
Yeah, and I would imagine there's such a heightened sensitivity to it as well because of the relationship that Major League Baseball and some of these other professional sports teams have with these sports books now, right? Mm-hmm. And sports betting is a thing in Major League Baseball and professional sports. And so when it comes to its players and wanting to keep things completely legit and optically legit, to have a player, active player, albeit injured, do this kind of thing is like, all right, we cannot F around right now. We have to send a clear message that this will not be tolerated in any way, shape, or form. And I think they were able to do that.
I love that their biggest issue, they thought they got rid of it with Angel Hernandez retiring, and then this pops up and they're like, just throw their hands up in the air like, I thought we were done. Like, can we just play baseball? Man. We got the biggest headache out of the way, and the next thing you know, they have one major leaguer and 4 minor league guys betting on diamond sports. Again, the dumbest thing possible.
Unbelievable. It is. You're right. Like, it's just surprising. It really was just surprising. It's like, really? You did what are you thinking, man? Like, come on.
Even think about like the NFL's policy. You can't bet at all, like on team premise, right? So if you're in the locker room, but these guys lounging around, like, and that's in a part where I get it. Like, I'm going to bet on the NBA right now because I'm chilling, getting treatment. And I understand, man, hey, timing's part of it. You find a really good line at a really good number and you like it, you place a bet then because it can move. Yeah. And next thing you know, that half a point or a point can decide if you win or lose your bet. For baseball, it's like, just don't bet on anything that has to do with our game. And these guys can't even follow that. Boggles my mind.
Nope. And you brought up a good point, too. It's just like all the hard work, all the sacrifices, everything that you did in your life to this point, to get to this point. You finally did it. You finally achieved the dream. And you're throwing it all away to place bets on the game you love. Yeah. And now it's gone. It's just, it's legitimately gone. That sucks in so many different ways.
I just Googled Jimmy O'Connell jersey because I figured that'd actually be a really cool one to wear. Oh. Doesn't exist. But you know what? A New York Giants Jimmy O'Connell jersey. Nothing on the quick Google research, but that would be a sweet one to have. A New York logo, O'Connell on the back, the pinstripes.
Definitely didn't think about that.
You know what? You play in a throwback game or you wear that out to a bar. You'll get someone in there that knows all about it. All right, that was Boston, has entered the chat. Make sure always leave a voicemail whenever you would like. 617-790-0928. Email us, thechat@nesson.com to have your voice heard, or tweet at Adam or I or Travis. Use the hashtag #thechat. Tweet at Nesson as well. Adam, always good doing the chat with you. What do you think of it today? And also, big news, man. You're leaving with the new nickname, Adam, the Emperor of the NBA.
Yeah, Emperor of the NBA. The leader of the NBA was intriguing, but I think Emperor of the NBA. I can really make some serious changes to the league if I have that title. I feel like I can earn the respect. And well, anyway, no, probably not. I don't know, man. You know, this is what you do when you try to kill the last minute of the show. Like, what are you talking about? You talk about me being the emperor of the NBA. This is what we do.
You also talk about not having a 35-day layoff between the conference finals ending and the NBA finals starting. And I think that's the biggest solution of it all. Yeah. Eliminate that. Have flexibility in how you're scheduling these arenas and these stadiums and getting stuff done. But again, this was Boston Has Entered the Chat. Make sure to tune in, dropping new episodes weekly, Monday through Friday, wherever you get your podcasts, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Spotify as well. And catch Adam whenever you want on Extra Time as well. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time.